Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Kellam, your host this week on Encounter. It's fall here on my back porch, and there are lots of things happening during the autumn that are pretty traditional, and they will continue to happen. No one can stop the leaves from turning and falling. There'll be some raking to do. School has begun, kind of. There are some traditions, though, that obviously won't be taking place. We're going to miss some high school football games and college games. Also, the Chow Walk is ordinarily a walk where hundreds of people from various churches and community groups gather together, and people pledge to have them walk to support the Community Hunger Outreach Warehouse. Chow has considered the Chow Walk a tradition for a long time, and it's a major fundraiser. But this year, things are going to be a little bit different. Our guest this morning is Les Aylesworth, who's the director of Chow.
Good morning.
Welcome to our back porch.
Thank you very much. It's beautiful.
I'm glad you're here. Normal didn't seem like a very good idea this year, did it, Les?
No, we didn't feel that was a pretty wise thing to do, and especially considering all that's been going on. And we kind of made the decision quite early on as we were projecting out to the fall. And like you said, typically the Chow Hunger Walk would be like the first Sunday in October, and we'd try to bring about 200 to 300 people together to walk an amount, usually a couple laps around the track. But because of the social distancing issue, we realized that was not a good idea. And so we realized that we had to do something virtual. And so we came up with this idea of the virtual Chow Walk. And we're kind of excited about it because it actually opens up new avenues. Rather than having folks have to converge on one place at one time, we've kind of opened it up to lots of other folks who might not ordinarily participate. You know, people who might have trouble walking or couldn't be there on a Sunday. This allows them to walk whenever they want, however they want, wherever they want, whenever they want, over a course of 10 days. So we're actually, rather than a one-day event, we're making it into 10 days. So from October 1st through the 9th.
Yeah, a virtual event may indeed open this up to folks who maybe in the past couldn't get to a particular venue or couldn't free up that particular afternoon. And now it's wide open. They don't have to find a particular day or time or place. You don't have to worry about getting there. Do this wherever you want. Most of us can do a quarter mile, even walking around the interior of our house or around the neighborhood. So let's talk about why a quarter mile. That has some significance.
So we use the one quarter mile for 1 out of every 4 kids in Broome County who is food insecure. And we wanted to try to create a visual in combining the walk so that when folks walk 1/4 of a mile, maybe it's in their mind that this is more than just, it is exercise, it's fun, we want it to be all that, but it actually is for a reason.
Yeah.
There are hungry kids in our community, and we don't want that to be.
Before we get into too many details about the walk itself, let's digress for a moment. You were on Encounter a few months ago when you first came on as the director of Chow. It's been an interesting few months. You came in at a pretty interesting time, didn't you?
I sure did. So
how long have you been on board?
I started in October of last year, and so really the reins were kind of handed over to me in the early winter. And then this happened, and it was quite a trial by fire for sure.
Yeah.
And one of the neat things that we did, I would say, neat is probably the wrong word, but we really tried to take this thing seriously. And we started watching what was going on around the world, from China into Spain, into Italy, with sort of this common sense approach that says, this is coming here, what do we need to do? And so we started putting things in place very early in March before it was any kind of mandates or any types of governmental shutdowns or spacing issues or whatnot, we started communicating to our agencies some guidelines that we felt would be safe and healthy. We shut down our warehouse so that we didn't have any outsiders coming in. We started sending people home, and at first people were a little taken back because it was something that had never happened before, and who has ever experienced a lockdown in their own life? I hadn't. And so we were sort of instituting that before they were instituted. We had some pushback, but we felt like we were doing the right thing. Yeah. So we were making some changes to how we did our practices to be as safe as we could, and not only did we make internal guidelines as how we would handle things, with sanitizing and whatnot. We also knew that because lockdowns were inevitable, we needed to do something that we could get food to people who were either under quarantine, by doctor's orders they were told not to go out in public, things like that. And so we put together a plan of creating emergency food boxes. And so we've done well over 10,000 of those boxes over the last few months. We did over 1,000 home deliveries straight from our warehouse. Thank goodness for all the volunteers who drove. But those were some of the things we did to respond to. And obviously, that just reflected the increased need. So at one point, we were nearly 5 times our normal distribution. It spiked way up at the end of March.
Wow.
And it's come down to earth a little bit, but we're still almost 2.5 times our normal distribution.
Yeah. And part of the distribution is done by volunteers, and was it hard to recruit volunteers during a time of COVID?
Actually, it was really helpful. Thankfully, folks were on furloughed from jobs. They had time in their hands. So while we were sending people out, we lost some staff, volunteer staff. Our jobs training program shut down. We were able to get volunteers in to do some of these specific tasks, like make the boxes, deliver the boxes, and that was incredible. And I've said it to them many times. It's cliche to say we couldn't do it without you, but we truly couldn't.
Yeah.
How do you do 1,000 home deliveries? How do you distribute over 10,000 boxes
Right.
without tons of help?
Right.
So we're so grateful for that.
Where do the volunteers come from?
They came from all over the community. Retired folks came, people who were out of work came, moms with their kids came. It was just students came who were, they were now remote students, so they could flex a little bit.
Right.
They came from all over the place. Sometimes companies that were still sort of in operation remotely, they would put together volunteer groups to come over together, and it was just an amazing outpour. We literally have had hundreds and hundreds of volunteers come through our doors. That had never been a part of CHOW ever.
Right.
So it's been great.
And it's one of the things that happens is that people get involved in new things because of this situation,
Yep.
and then stay with it.
Yes.
It's like churches that are streaming their worship services now. Many of them won't stop when people
Yeah.
are back in church.
Yeah.
And I think probably some of the new people who come in to work with CHOW as volunteers see the benefit of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great point. One of the things we did as we headed into the walk, since that's what we're talking about, we identified people we called CHOW champions, folks who came regularly. These were people that we didn't have to ask to come back. They just said, I'll be here next week. I'll be here tomorrow.
Right.
And they just did it over and over and over again. And someone like me who's the director, you want everyone to walk through the doors to have this wonderful experience. And when things were so crazy, there were times I thought, these people are never going to come back. It is so crazy. It's so overwhelming. The work is so hard. They will never darken the door again.
Yeah.
And yet they kept coming back. And so I think that says something about who they were. Maybe it wasn't as bad as an experience as I thought. And they caught the vision of what we were trying to accomplish, to feed hungry people. And they put their time and energy, their own gas, they sacrificed their own treasures as well to make this happen.
Yeah. One of the things that is impressive about the CHOW Walk is how ecumenical it is. You see people from the churches that ordinarily may not work together on various things, but these folks all get together. Some of them had their own T-shirts or some identifying thing that this is from this Catholic church and that's from a Methodist church. The whole CHOW operation is ecumenical. You've got CHOW bins and baskets all over the area.
I was just reading Psalms 133, verse 1 says it's great. I'm paraphrasing. It's great when brothers dwell in unity together. It's this provides an opportunity for unity and for folks that maybe have different theological backgrounds, different faith traditions, to come together and do something. I like to say it like this: if your house is on fire, you don't care if the person who comes through the door is black, white, Muslim, Catholic, atheist. At that point, you just need help. And so I surely hope that people from all stripes can come together on this issue of hunger. And it doesn't matter where you come from, because we all want to help together. And so an event like the Chow Walk provides that opportunity, I think.
Not to put you too much on the spot, but how many people have participated in Chow Walks previously? Like, what are the numbers like? And then how much money is raised?
So this is our 38th year doing it this year. So we've done 37 walks, and typically there's about 200 to 300 people. And this is our biggest fundraiser of the year. I've heard in years past this was a humongous, like, six-figure type fundraiser. It has gone down in more recent years, so that doesn't have nearly the drawing power that it has had in the past. And let's face it, 5Ks are really popular, and so you can kind of get lost. You just kind of become white noise with another walk or a run. And I'm not saying any of those are bad, but I think there's so many that you sort of it loses its pizzazz or whatever.
The Chow Walk is based on what some communities call a crop walk. CROP is the Community Hunger Appeal of Church World Service. And in Tioga County or at Owego, the crop walk is what they do. And that's where my wife and I first got involved with walking for hunger. And I think those were the first walks. It was the first time somebody had said, why don't we go? It was like 10 miles or something, wasn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, it was a walk.
That was a walk.
And there were hundreds and hundreds of us back in Richmond, Virginia. And then when we moved here, Tioga has its crop walk for Church World Service, and then the Chow Walk is part of the ministry of Broome County Council of Churches. So I understand your point that there used to be 1 or 2 or 3 walks a year, and now almost every nice weekend there's someone walking for something. It's a fundraiser, but it's also good exercise, and it builds community.
It is. And so even though we're doing things differently this year, we still are encouraging people to get out and walk, whether it's a quarter mile or an eighth of a mile, whether it's across their living room.
Yeah.
We're encouraging people to get moving because it's fun, it's healthy. I mean, the purpose of giving out food to folks is so they can be healthy, be fed, but so they can have healthy lives. And so we're encouraging that it's just going to be differently. Rather than converging at one point, we're hoping that folks will walk wherever they are. So maybe they'll go down the rail trail, but they'll do it by themselves, or they'll go to the track. They'll do it by themselves or with their family members.
Right.
And we're encouraging folks to film themselves while doing it. So we have a couple hashtags. One is my favorite is Why I Walk. We're hoping that folks will actually post something to share why they're walking.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing just to walk. It's one thing just to fundraise, and those are all good things. But to share the awareness with their friends and family of how important this is, because we obviously think it's really important. But it's great when so many other people can kind of be ambassadors of that message and share it.
Yeah. We have in the past talked about how much shorter the walks have gotten through the years, and but this is an opportunity. If you can do more than a quarter mile, then for heaven's sake, do a half mile, do
Absolutely.
2 miles, whatever. And you can ride a bike. I mean, the important thing is to move and get people to pledge.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about the pledging. How do people pledge, and how do people get involved?
So right now, because of the virtual nature, the digital nature of it, we've set up an online platform through Just Giving. It can be found at our webpage, broomecouncil.net, under the CHOW tab. You can find the link to it. And there folks can donate, they can form teams, they can then promote it through their own social media, whatever that is, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and they'll be able to hopefully get their friends and family involved as well. And of course, for those who don't have capability, internet access or, what we call old school, right? We have paper forms that they can fill out. But we're encouraging. I mentioned the CHOW champions. We encourage them to get 10 others along with them to join them in this effort.
The quarter mile is based on 1 out of 4 children in Broome County being food insecure. Tell me what food insecure means. I've heard that term.
Sure. Food insecure means basically folks who don't know where their next meal is coming from. It can be kids who are on free and reduced lunch that they're basically maybe 2 out of the 3 meals they're getting are at school, and so they go home and may or may not get that meal. It could be folks who are out of work or underemployed who are making decisions at the end of the month. As I like to say, when there's too much month at the end of the money, do I pay the heating bill or do I put groceries? Do I buy cheap groceries or do I get healthier options? You know, there's so many decisions that you have to make as a person when it comes to food, and it's unfortunate that folks are in those positions. So that's, you know, in a nutshell, kind of what food insecure is. And what's interesting, sadly, since COVID-19 has started, you know, last year's figures on Broome County are a little over 12% of folks were food insecure, which is, you know, when you roughly figure there's 200,000 folks in Broome, that's around 24,000 people who are food insecure. In the last few months, that number has jumped from 12% up to over 17%. And so now we've gone from 24,000 to over around 34,000 folks in Broome County are considered food insecure now because of, we know the reasons, lost jobs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And to put that into a little bit of perspective, the arena holds a little over 6,000 people. That's like 34,000 people. It's like over 5 times. Filling that arena 5 times is the food insecure folks in Broome County. And so that's really an unfortunate statistics that we do not like.
And it's one of those things during this pandemic that reminds us that the needs are greater, and sometimes the ways that we approach meeting those needs is that much more of a challenge, that the needs don't get met. But in this case, for every dollar that's raised in the Chow Walk, for example, where's that dollar go?
So for every dollar donated to Chow, we're able to turn that into 5 meals. And we were really proud of that because we've worked really, really hard. You know, a couple years ago it was $1 out of $1 provided 4 meals. And so we've tried very hard to be very good stewards with the gifts that are given to us. And because we take it very seriously, I personally take it very seriously, every donation that's given to us. And we do, and we are very grateful for everything that's given to us.
We've talked about the fact that this is a virtual walk. So is everybody walking on the same day, or is this going to stretch out over a period of time?
It's going to stretch out over a period of time. So we're doing it from October 1st through October 9th. And you could go to the website right now and start a team. You could even start giving right now because it is live, but we're encouraging over those 10 days to get out there and get moving. Do your best to get fundraising, and, you know, tell your friends and family, because hunger is an issue that just is not going away, and it's only getting worse.
Right. We've talked about the website. I know that there's a complicated website. I could put it on the screen, but by the time you wrote it all down, and by the time our radio listeners heard it, justgiving.com/campaign/virtual Chow Walk 2020. I'll say that again. justgiving.com/campaign/virtual Chow Walk 2020. Now, another way to get there is to go to the Broome County Council of Churches website, which is simply
broomecouncil.net.
broomecouncil.net, and there'll be a tab
for Chow, and then under Chow there's a link right to the website.
So you can register that way. And then you mentioned teams. I hadn't thought about getting a team together. Yep. What's the value of having a team?
So you can create synergy and hopefully involve more people to, again, raise more awareness as well as raise more funds. And that site allows, it's very easy to do it. And, you know, without getting into all the technical sides, you can personalize the page, you can put your own photographs up there, you can share messages with people that you're involved in. And we're really hoping that this is an opportunity for people to share it, you know, shout it from the virtual rooftops, and, you know, get as many people involved as possible. And we think this can be a really neat opportunity that we've never had before, and we've kind of been forced to do it, but I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. One of the things that appeals to me too is sometimes you feel like the problems are so big and there's not much I can do. But this is one of those places where there is something definite that you can do to approach this issue. One step at a time, $1 at a time, one meal at a time.
That's right. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
One step, $1, one meal.
It's trademarked.
It's a great way to put it. And this does. It gives people an opportunity to do something. You know, a lot of times people want to just do something, and it can kind of it can almost be misdirectional, and you just want to do something.
Yeah.
This is really, you can have a real tangible result from what you've done.
Our guest on this week's Encounter program is Les Aylesworth, who is the director of CHOW, the Community Hunger Outreach Warehouse. You'd think after all these years I'd have this down by now. As we're talking about the virtual CHOW Walk, which is coming up between October 1st and October 9th. So besides the pandemic, what are the other challenges that, or surprises that have greeted you as you've moved into this role as the director of CHOW?
Oh man, there's been a lot of them. The learning curve has been very steep. My last position I had was in the tire industry, and so, you know, tires you can drop, they can sit on the floor, they don't spoil, they can sit there for years,
yeah,
and they're fine. Food, it requires speed to handle it, and that's I'd say one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest learning curves is just that adaptation to that, and getting my brain wrapped around something that's can just sit there for a long time. Yeah. And but also, I mean, just on the statistics side, I never realized some of this stuff. You know, some of these statistics, that the amount of kids on free and reduced lunches, you know, there's over 13,000 kids, and that was pre-pandemic. Who knows what this school year is going to involve? You know, thankfully schools did a lot to step up to help kids this year, and you know, we were able to assist in that. We provided thousands of emergency boxes for them as well, and gave them food when we could, milk when we could, and so it was a great opportunity to work hand in hand. And so I think on the positive side of this, coming through this, is that the pandemic has forced us into new directions that we never really thought about.
I've seen the Broom Bounty trucks too. Now, how is that related to CHOW?
So those are our food recovery vehicles, and that's where we get a lot of the food that we do give out. Food that is maybe just about to go out of date. It's usually fresh and healthy produce, things like that. Food that's just about to go out of date, but it still has plenty of use in it. We collect that because it can't be sold, and then we distribute it to soup kitchens and the pantries. And last year we did about 1.4 million pounds of that. And so that really helps. Not only does it reduce food waste, which is terrible, it allows us to put that, what would consider to be waste in the past, to good use and feed a lot of people.
Right. A few weeks ago I did a program on vines and the community gardens, and you get some produce from the garden.
We do a little bit from them, yep. We work closely with Vines. They use our vans to deliver their boxes, and they use our cold storage to store vegetables, and then they're also able to pass along some of their produce to us. So it's a great relationship. We're able to help each other out.
And there's also is there still a bus?
Currently the bus is parked right now because of all the stuff that's been going on, and it is rumored that it will be coming back once the store opens. So
yeah.
So once the grocery store opens, hopefully in October, the bus will be moving to that, and it'll become sort of the mobile arm of the grocery store. We'll see how that all plays out.
So that's on track to open in October.
That's the last I've heard. Yep. You know, we're, like I said, fingers crossed. Yeah. And that's not that far away. Right. And that is I'll just put a plug in for them. The store is open to everybody. It's not a low income only store. It's not going to sell past dated stuff that's been collected or recovered. It's going to be regular grocery store purchased food that you can purchase, fresh and not close to its expiration date, you know, all that, like a normal store. So we encourage everyone to go shopping there. I'm planning on shopping there.
And where is it?
It's going to be on State Street in Binghamton, the new building that's going up there, where the old, I think it was the old Big Lots place, yeah, across from the old Kmart Plaza.
a couple of minutes left, so we need to go back to the Chow Walk and remind us of the details.
So the Chow Walk this year is on October 1st through the 9th. We're doing it virtually because of the pandemic. We're doing it basically online with the encouragement that folks will actually walk, and we're encouraging folks to walk 1/4 mile, which is reflective of the 1 in 4 kids who are food insecure in Broome County. And hopefully we'll have people have fun. We'll raise the issue of food insecurity in our community, and hopefully raise funds so we can continue doing what we do throughout the year.
When I received the letter from the Broome County Council of Churches about the Chow Walk, it said that there are three goals, the same goals that you've had in the past for Chow Walks. What are they?
So number one is to raise awareness about food insecurity, to hopefully have fun, get some exercise, and to ultimately raise funds to do the good work that we do year-round.
And once again, you can sign up for the Chow Walk on the Broome County Council of Churches website, and I will put that address on the screen for the TV viewers and for the radio folks. It's www.broomecouncil.net.
Correct.
Even I can remember it, so we should be in good shape there. So go there and you'll find the a way to register for the Chow Walk. You'll also see lots of other information about the Broome County Council of Churches and its various ministries. So we've been talking with Les Aylesworth, who is the director of CHOW, having come on about just short of a year ago, and what a year it's been. Congratulations for getting through the first year.
Thank you very much.
It ought to be an easy slide from here on.
You can only go up, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So again, thank you for being our guest today. And here are my back porch, safe distance from each other, and we appreciate your joining us for the Broome County Council of Churches Encounter program. With thanks to WBNG TV for putting us on TV, and then to the Town Square media stations for carrying the audio portion of our program. I'm Jeff Kellam, thanking you again for being with us, and hoping that in the coming week you'll be safe and be gentle with people and with yourself.